Welcome to Snowball Madness. This is Snowball Madness A to Z. There are 142 different kinds of snowballs you can throw, and we are on letter C today. Letter C gives you cactuses, cakes, carrot on a stick, cauldrons, clocks, which we've used before, coal blocks, coal itself, cobblestone wall, cobblestone, and cookies. Now what we'll find is that most of these things are velocity modifiers. For instance, we can have a look at the cookies, and the cookies give you very nice deadly bunny coming to attack. Cookies give you a very nice accelerator, but as you saw, that's nothing like what the beacons will give you. We've also got cakes. As you can see, double cakes is a much more effective attack. The velocity of double cakes is extremely fast. In fact, if I'm not mistaken, only double beacon goes faster. But double cake is a very effective weapon when used with an arrow. And of course, it will also work in any other kind of device, like cobblestone blocks, as you might imagine. I said cobblestone blocks, as you might imagine. Up. That's not a cobblestone, that's a cobblestone monster egg. Silly me. There's cobblestone. I derped that a bit. No wonder nothing happened. Anyhow, cobblestone with wildly accelerated is actually firing it so fast that it's intersecting with me. So we'll slow it down a little bit. Sometimes the extremely accelerated stuff has challenges. You might not want to always use the fastest possible attack. Now you can't really hurt things very much by placing cobblestone on them. But this is another type of builder. It's worth noting that anything that places actual blocks, you can do things with it. Might have to be a little bit careful. So I just placed that in my face. We're going to try that again, but without the hyper-acceleration. Let's imagine I'm stuck on top of this and trapped somewhere. I simply place a bunch of cobblestone without accelerating it. Start placing it a little more carefully, or trying to. And I have a makeshift bridge. In fact, it's a makeshift bridge that monsters can't follow because there turned out to be some air gaps in here. This is a very useful trick if you have any kind of block that can be used for this purpose. Any solid block that places one will do it. Bunny, I don't think you want to be hanging around here. This is not safe. However, this may prove a useful technique for showing what the carrot on the stick does. What the carrot on the stick does is it bounces the target, and food animals get yanked back at you. Mobs get bounced away from you. It's not necessarily harmless to what it bounces, but it's one way of moving stuff around. inspired by the way that you can hook them with fishing rods. I'm not sure if I can find any mobs. Perhaps I can find some in here. Not what I would call heavy on the mobs out here. Up, but here's one. And since we're in creative, it's not actually chasing us, but we can still demonstrate the principle of the thing. Oh, and there's another. Now, they're not getting bounced away very strongly, but they're getting bounced away just a bit. You can see the mobs go away, and the food animals and things, the peaceful things, come forwards. And that is Carrot on a Stick. It decides between enemies and friendly mobs. Now, we've just demonstrated the heck out of the clock. We've been using the clock this entire time, because the clock is very important as far as controlling our access to these things. What we have not demonstrated is the cauldron. Did you see what that did? Let's demonstrate that again. For instance, right over here, I'm going to aim through that hole. Watch what happens. We formed a trail of source blocks along the ground. This is a real flood tool, the cauldron is. It will just place a whole bunch of water down. Sorry, there is no lava version. Seemed a little bit superfluous. It seemed a little bit excessive. But this is a way to make enormous oceans and rivers and things like that. Now we've got things like coal. See, that made a little fire. So like a little campfire. As you can see, this is a coal block. It's just a single coal block. Now we've also got a coal block. So let's see what that does. Does the coal block produce a coal ore? No. What the coal block produces is a shaft of coal ore. You can look at this particular angle and see as the pig falls down the pit. See this? And we can watch as it produces coal ore all the way down. Out of my way. So this is a way of digging down while also stocking up on large amounts of coal. If I'm not mistaken, seven, 6, 5, 4. It will go right down to bedrock and then it will stop. That's an important point to be made because not everything stops when it reaches bedrock. But that's another story. That's another letter, specifically. Now we have cobble wall. If you remember the bone, you'll have a better idea what cobble wall might do. That's knockback for you. And it's substantial knockback. Cobble wall is quite a fierce knockback indeed. You can really get some airtime with it. In fact, If I'm not mistaken, we can also power it. Double nether star cobble wall, anyone? You went flying. Now, the trouble with using the really high-powered stuff like your nether stars and such is that it doesn't go very far. You try to throw the nether star thing and it goes about this far, and that's not very helpful. But the amount of power you get out of it is extraordinary. And of course, this also works on mobs. Or even... Actually, no, it doesn't seem to work on yourself. We'll get to that. We have things that do sending yourself flying. This is for sending other things flying a real long distance. You'll also notice that the pigs survived that because one of the effects of the knockback weapons is that they reduce or eliminate fall damage. So this is very effective as far as making a pig fly very, very far, and sometimes they'll take fall damage. But it's designed to not automatically kill everything with fall damage. There's a possibility that if you give something a massive swing with a double nether star nether fence, then the thing might possibly survive. So that would be cobble wall. We've done cobblestone. And if I'm not mistaken, the only thing we've not up. Any guesses as to what Cactus does? Very good. Cactus dries everything out. It will stop the rain. Although one downside of it is that it doesn't necessarily stop the rain for very long. It's pretty much luck of the draw as to when the rain's going to start back up again. However, it's a nice thing to have around. And again, we've got the clock, so now we've got a couple of utility things. We can stop rain and we can move time. Lastly, let's go back over to the arrow, and we're looking at our sweetness things. Like this is double cookie, aiming at this hapless sheep. I'm not hitting it with that. But if I go to double cake, we're pretty much good to go. And of course, double beacon is even more powerful still. But double cake is really about all you'd want. And of course, since they do combine, you don't have to use them as doubles. This is a cake combined with cookie. And it's pretty close to the same windage. You've got to give it just a little bit more height to make that one connect. But it's also somewhat less likely to nail you if you're running forwards and firing. And that concludes letter C. Cactuses, cakes, carrot on a stick, cauldron, clock, coal block, coal, cobble wall, cobblestone, and cookie. C is a wonderful letter in Snowball Madness. It includes many of the things that you'd want.